Hi, my name is Nick Kundra of Partender.com. That's P as in Paul, A-R-T-E-N-D-E-R. We are a business tool that reduces the time it takes bar managers and owners to do inventory from a frustrating 5 to 6 hours to 15 minutes or less. And we do this by digitizing this crazy, archaic paper, pen, clipboard process into a few taps and swipes on iOS. You just really tap where the liquor level is in the bottle and swipe to the next bottle. Now, as a result of being so fast, our customers have actually increased their bottom lines by 6% in under 3 months simply by being able to do inventory multiple times a week. And that statistic is from customers that have been doing inventory 3 to 4 times a week. Now, why is inventory so important to do? It's because there's a 23% shrinkage in the industry, an inventory loss due to overpouring, employee theft, and so much more, that occurs because no one is watching the liquid assets that are sitting on the shelves, because the process of doing inventory is so difficult to do that no one either does it or it only gets done once a week or once a month. With this, people are doing it so often that they're actually getting that control and transparency over the bar and immediately identifying any shrinkage and cutting those losses.
Perfect. All right, let's jump into the questions here. You got 3 minutes to answer the first one. What 3 pieces of information would you like to share that you didn't convey yesterday?
Okay, so the market right now for places that serve alcoholic beverages is 987,000 establishments in the US. The really cool thing about that, even though they do 121 billion in sales every year from the US, the worldwide market is about 1 trillion. Inventory is a global problem, and the coolest thing is that we're actually now working with Starbucks, not at the corporate level, but in test markets, to go ahead and do their inventory on syrups and coffee beans and more. So the market is not just in places serving alcohol anymore, it's anything that you can take a picture of and you need to inventory it for supply chain purposes, doing inventory and automating that supply chain. So that's a really cool thing. The second thing is that we're actually a bootstrap company. In 3 weeks, in our pilot markets in Gainesville, I guess all the way through Australia, with Margaritaville and Hooters, we booked $100K in annual revenue. And we've been all working off sweat equity as a bootstrap company, and we love it. We're really young. I think the average age is 23 on our team, so it's cool that we're bootstrapped and still making pretty big strides in the industry. The third thing is that starting today, to everyone, we know word of mouth in the industry is super critical and super important. So to anyone who refers a customer over to Partender.com and they sign up, there's a little how field. And if they sign in saying that your name referred to them, we'll go ahead and give you 5% commission for the first 3 to 6 months. And that's for all of our plans, from those that start at $99 a month up to $8.99 a month, depending on the customer's business's needs.
All right. Next question. What's the biggest challenge your startup faces, and how are you going to overcome it?
So the biggest challenge we face is sort of twofold. In hospitality, distribution is very tough, but it was also very difficult for us because we only had one tier that we were offering, and that was like an $8.99 solution. And we had a lot of customers really excited about that because it offers a ton of accounting analytics. What we kind of recently did was switch things up over at 500 startups and now have this $99 tool that I told you about, which allows even places like Velveteen Rabbit down the road, a small craft cocktail bar, to do inventory in 15 minutes. And they don't need all the extra accounting things that a Margaritaville might need, so they can pay $99 a month and still get a ton more transparency over their bar without having to pay the remaining amounts. So that's really cool because it allows us to distribute even more. We're actually working with Clover Point of Sale. It was backed by Anderson Horowitz, and now is with First Data. They do $1.5 trillion in credit a year. We'll be one of their launch partners upcoming soon, so you will see us. If you go to our website, TechCrunch, there's a little logo up top where we integrated with them at their hackathon this past September, and you can see our integration with Clover Point of Sale too. And then,
final question: how are you going to use the prize money?
So because we're a bootstrap company, part of those, if we were to win, it would go back to the members on our team as little stipends. But also, we actually love Vegas. And that might have sounded funny. I don't know what all you guys that laughed were thinking about. But we actually want to go ahead and start an office here because we want to go to the trade shows like Nightclub and Bar Magazine that are headquartered here. Hospitality is amazing in this industry, and it's all focused in Vegas. Like, the few guys that I talked to outside, they were also in the same category yesterday. Brilliant. Like, only in Vegas can you really get that sort of B2B hospitality mix. And we'd like to go ahead and kind of invest in our own company to headquarter here in Vegas and go to these trade shows and directly reach the financial decision makers of bars and restaurants.
All right, great. Let's ask some questions. Judges, let's go the other direction. Andy White first. Put you on the hot seat.
I was all ready to have time to think.
I know. I got you. Caught you.
So what's your distribution like now, and what's a really active customer look like for you?
So our average customer is paying us about $745 a month, but we limited our pilot program. It was really just going to be a beta for free, and last moment I was kind of like, I think we're delivering enough value, let's see if we can charge for it. So we limited that to about 14 customers. That was over the summer, and now we're pulling people off our wait list. We have about 700 entities. Some of them are kind of independent bars, some of them are big chains. So we're now reaching out to them, opening them up to the pilot, and soon we'll be going public and live. Door-to-door has been really solid for us. I think in the hospitality industry, there's a high touch rate, but we've been finding that web demos or phone calls in just 5 minutes are pretty successful. And we have a lot more people that are kind of biting at the $99 and $399 tiers simply because they just want to be able to do inventory. And they know they need to, so now we enable them to do so. But also there are folks like Premier Beverage and Southern Wine that have gotten in touch with them with us, which is pretty cool. They are the distributors of liquor in the industry. And there's a ton of data that we can provide to them, notifying them of, hey, your customer A, B, and C, they're 30% away from running out of Grey Goose or Belvedere or whatever it might be. So the data play is really interesting to them, and we've been talking to some folks in the industry.
All right, next question. Who's got the next one?
Scaling is always a problem, and if you have to go door to door or call, it takes forever. So how do you think you're going to be able to scale going forward?
So kind of I was hinting at just now, the data for the distributors is really important. Even Bacardi reached out to us simply because they pay exorbitant amounts of money to figure out exactly who's buying what at what bars. To give you an example, I won't name any names here, but there are some folks that actually end up piloting their liquors at certain markets, right? And it's a 3-tier system. So the supplier tells the distributor, hey, you want our business, make sure you meet quota. And you have to have all of your companies, all of your bars and restaurants pay a certain amount of dollars for our product. So they go to these independent bars down the street and they say, hey, we'll sell you X. And they say, hey, we really don't want X. And they'll say, all right, we'll give you Crown Royale because we'll give it to you like $3 off or something because we know that sells. And they go ahead and meet quota in that sort of way. And what actually happens is that contractually, these guys are supposed to have those bottles on their shelves for about a week. And right after that week is done, it goes straight under like the cupboard, and no one touches it. But the distributor tells the supplier, hey, we met quota. We're killing it. And then the supplier says, wow, that's awesome. Let's go ahead and ramp up our distribution and supply chain. We're going to mass produce this thing because it works so well in test markets, and you're not going to be expected to push 3x the amount. That's a big issue because a lot of these suppliers spend so much money mass producing things that do not sell. With Partender and the back-end analytics that we kind of talked about yesterday, that allows the supplier and distributor to see what's actually moving in the bar.
So they call that sell-through. Stuffing the channel is when they're stuffing the channel with product that's not selling, and then sell-through is the other side of that, which I think is what you're getting at.
Yeah. Well, we also have big chains that I've talked about yesterday. I didn't get to talk about today, but a lot of them have reached out to us too because they tend to have more focus on the accounting side of things. So they're really interested in beverage cost and optimized par levels and things that we offer at our tiers.
I guess this is kind of building on what these guys are saying. I'm a little nervous about the small and medium-sized, bars, and what you showed looked pretty simple, but having had a startup that worked with SMBs, they are just really difficult in terms of the training and what, their adoption. And so how are you looking at that? I mean, I know if you look at OpenTable, especially in hospitality, they just send someone there, set up the terminals. You can't just give this stuff to them. So.
Yeah, it's a really great question, especially in hospitality when there's typically been a really high touch, like Micros or someone would, you'd spend $45,000 to buy that and experience local reps everywhere. What we actually did was we made our UI so simple. We're obsessed with design and usability. And we found that after about the first day or two of use, the level of support tickets really just kind of vanishes. Because we also introduced tutorial videos online. So we send them to a YouTube playlist. They look at it. It takes about 10 minutes to do. They can share it with everyone. And at the end of the day, the folks doing inventory are really just tapping and swiping. It's based off the iPod playlist that's native to the iOS platform. So it's been pretty simple on that end. Most of our support tickets kind of came from, hey, we want to see a few more accounting things. And this week we're launching those features out to them, so I guess publicly. So we're excited with that. I think word of mouth, though, has done the most for us. If we look at our wait list, we see that those that did sign up have been referred by others that were using us, and it kind of just spreads. The hospitality industry is very tight like that, and it's nice that our onboarding process is pretty seamless because we've automated it with video tutorials.
All right, next question.
Yeah, so the question is around defensibility. So is there any sort of network effect or something, or what happens when the next guy comes along and puts this feature into a larger solution?
Yeah, we aren't the only people that have been solving this problem or trying to solve this problem. There have been people out here since like 1993 trying to do the same thing. I think the difference with us is that although we have IP, we're really focused on the business logic. Because, we're also focused on the design side of things too, because you can't actually have over-engineered technology that's been produced for the past 20 years go out into these bars and restaurants and expect them to do the same thing.
Couldn't they copy your UX? I mean, the key is the swiping, filling thing.
Yeah, so they could try to mimic it, but there are very subtle things that we do that we've learned the hard way, I guess, that allow us to move a lot faster. And through these partnerships that we're making, should see a lot of buzz in about 4 weeks, we're looking at high expansion and growth. In the past couple months, I guess we've really been talking to those folks that can allow us to go a lot faster, create that switching cost, and be the first to the market.
All right, let's hear it for Partender.
Thank you, appreciate it.